Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Champions Chess Tour Chessable Masters 2025. This tournament has just ended, and we have Magnus Carlsen in first place, Hikaru Nakamura in second place, and Nepomniachtchi in third. But today, in this video, our main character is not Magnus Carlsen, who is the champion, but instead, our main character is second place Hikaru Nakamura. And why is that? Well, in the world of chess, most of you guys just think that chess is full of training, study, and tournament, and this have long been seen as the only path to the top. So you have to practice by training and also studying and then competing in tournaments in order to go to the top of chess. But however, one player has broken this traditional mode, and it is none other than Hikaru Nakamura. He is both a world-class grandmaster and a full-time streamer, and that is just something really amazing. Hikaru's success challenges the conventional wisdom of chess training. Unlike other top players who dedicate all their time, or most of their time, to tournament preparations, he spends a significant portion of his energy on streaming and content creation. Yet, despite not following a high-intensity training regimen, he continues to compete at the highest level, and still he is achieving outstanding results in major tournaments. So how does he manage to do it? Well, first of all, we should know that chess is now in a completely new era. Streaming and social media are great ways to influence. So the way chess is consumed and shared has undergone a revolution. With the rise of live streaming and social media, players can now directly engage with a global audience, and Hikaru Nakamura is at the forefront of this movement. His stream, he streams several hours a day, sometimes even for just really long hours, and covering nearly every aspect of chess on all kinds of social media websites. And his content basically includes live gameplay, where he actually competes or play online games against top players and viewers alike. And then there's also game analysis, breaking down professional games with deep insights, simply doing recaps on these games. And then there's entertaining chess experiments, he will be exploring unusual openings and creative strategies with the viewers. And then there's casual chess variants, sometimes even, like Fisher Random Chess or something, adding humor and excitement to the game. So actually, he covers a lot of a wide range of things on his content. And Hikaru's engaging and entertaining personality sets him apart from traditional chess grandmasters. Instead of being overly serious, where most of them do, he explains the game in a fun and accessible way, often incorporating humor and lighthearted commentary. Now, this approach has made chess more engaging and easier to understand for a global audience, especially for those who are beginners or are not really into this game. So, with millions of followers right now on YouTube, Hikaru is one of the most influential figures in the chess world. His massive online presence and has led to major sponsorships and business opportunities, allowing him to earn far more than most grandmasters do, most of those who spend their time playing tournaments. So again, the question is, does he just really not train? And if so, how does he stay at the very top? Well, I believe the key is just lies in this unique approach to training. With so much time dedicated to streaming, most of us at first would just think, why hasn't Hikaru his chess strength, why hasn't they declined? Well, in fact, how does he just simply continue to compete at an elite level in major tournaments where there are so many strong players who are dedicating most of their time in serious training? Now, again, as I said, the key lies in his special approach to training. Unlike traditional players who train in closed preparation, Hikaru actually plays a massive number of blitz and bullet games on stream every day. Now, while these really fast games don't really involve, don't involve deep theoretical studies, they help him maintain his tactical sharpness and calculation speed, also instinctive decision making. So for chess players looking to improve, this approach could serve as a really valuable supplement to traditional training and mixing standard study with high volume fast games might bring unexpected benefits. Well, this is just something in general. There are also many exceptions, of course, but however, the most critical factor is that Hikaru was already a chess prodigy. This is the most important thing. And that is why even if he is streaming all day and not really into any serious training, he is still maintaining his strength because he developed exceptional calculation skills, opening knowledge, and game mastery at a very young age. So this just allows him to rely on intuition and experience, making the best moves even without systematic training. Now, you guys should also know that chess is not just about memory and calculation, that is for sure. But sorry, it also requires mental resilience, adaptability, and also time management. So, though his daily encounters with different playing styles on stream, Hikaru has developed an extraordinary ability to adjust strategies on the fly. This just that being said, competing completely skipping structured training isn't realistic. Still, we need to train using some of the systematic training ideas, because for us we're not considered as chess prodigies, we're not as strong as Hikaru is at a very young age. So this means that we still need to practice, and we do not have the experience that he has, or the knowledge, the skills that he has. So we need to still use some of the systematic ways to train. But even though he doesn't train conventionally, he still does targeted preparation before major tournaments, that's for sure, focusing on specific openings and key opponents. So this short-term high efficiency preparation enables him to deliver top performances when it matters the most. Now, some of you guys might think that Hikaru's entertainment focused approach would negatively impact his competitive results. And I mean, that is a reasonable opinion, but however, the reality is that he remains one of the world's strongest players, and below are some of his um the rewards that he gained. So first of all, he is a world-class speed chess player. Hikaru has won multiple bullet chess and also blitz chess world championships. Well, maybe not bullet because I guess there's no bullet world champions, but at least blitz there is. And he has already earned the title the Bullet King. And also in the 2022 FIDE Candidates tournament, if you guys still remember, despite at that time he was Hikaru is being underestimated by a lot of people, but still he finished third. Yeah, he finished third, just behind Nepomniachtchi and Dinli Ren. So that's already very impressive. And then also in the champion in the Magnus Carlsen Tour, there is a tournament called the Magnus Carlsen Tour. He has defeated world champions, and including Magnus Carlsen himself. So all of these just shows that he is a really strong player, even though not using much of the systematic training, even though he is just streaming every day, he is still really strong. Now it leads us to a question that will Hikaru's model shape the future of chess? I mean, Hikaru's success has raises a big question. Does his model mean future chess players can, like abandon traditional training and focus entirely on streaming? The answer I think is not so simple because first of all, like we need talent and foundation. These are two things that are really important. They're the most crucial things. Now, not everyone can follow Hikaru's path, that's for sure, because he built an exceptionally strong foundation in his early years, and without elite calculation skills and years of experience, simply playing online games won't be enough to reach the top. That is for sure. And also, when you're like doing streaming, most of the times you're just playing like blitz or bullet chess. This sometimes can only just help you improve your speed chess, but not in classical games, because you should know that in speed chess, it is a completely different kind of game compared to classical games, because like blitz and bullet chess, they rely heavily on intuition and quick decision making, whereas classical chess requires like deeper calculation and preparation as well as understanding of the positions. So Hikaru, he actually dominates fast time controls, but in classical tournaments, still he has a lot of struggles. Like he, for example, struggles against players still. I mean, he struggles against players like Magnus Carlsen, Dean Liren, and Nepomniachtchi. So, I mean, these players, they dedicate more time to traditional study and just shows that they have an advantage in classical chess. Maybe not in speed chess like in blitz or bullet, but in classical chess, these players who follow the traditional training ideas, they have a small advantage. Now, there's also another fact, which is like you need to balance streaming and professional chess, because Hikaru's model, he works well for established grandmasters, but for young players, focusing too much on streaming could slow down long-term improvement, that is for sure. And for me personally, well, I definitely admire Hikaru and I want to try and learn from his style, but I won't like fully commit to like YouTube content creation just yet because right now I am still only in 7th grade and that is still pretty young. And right now my priority is just to do professional training at my chess academy, and so I can like only manage to produce a video once like about like every 3 days. So I simply don't have the time to be a full-time streamer just yet. But well, that is about myself, and I think to conclude is that Hikaru has shown us a new path in chess. Where like one where a player can be both a grandmaster and a top-tier content creator. He has proven that even without traditional training, a mix of speed chess and vast experience and smart preparation can keep him at the top. Of course, you still need to reach an elite level first, and after that, sometimes luck plays a role as well. Will Hikaru's approach become the future of chess? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Perhaps in the era of speed chess and online tournaments, he is already leading the way, that's for sure. No matter what, though, his success has not only brought him personal glory, but has also inspired entertained chess fans like us worldwide. Okay, so after all, chess isn't just a battleground for serious tournaments like anymore. It has also become a stage for fun and interaction. Alright, now I have already spoke a lot about Hikaru Nakamura, and now let's take a look at his game against Nepomniachtchi, and hope you guys enjoy this game. So before taking a look at the game, I'm going to quickly show you guys the result, and as you can see, here in the finals, Magnus was playing against Hikaru and then Hikaru lost, so then he was now down into the loser bracket, and in the semifinals he is playing against, not him, but actually in the finals, in the losers brackets finals, he faced Nepomniachtchi, and whoever wins, they will go up into the grand final to face Hikaru Nakamura, and here Hikaru, as you can see, he won the finals. Now they played three games, and actually the first 2 games were 10-minute with no increment, and they both ended in draws. And this means that they will have to go into the Armageddon, where for Black has less time, but if Black manages to hold the draw, that counts as a win for Black. But the advantage for white is that white has more time than black does, so it's a two-sided type of game. Now here today we're going to be taking a look at the Armageddon, where Nepo is playing with the white pieces. We have Hikaru with the black pieces. This is a really decisive game because Nepo is in a must-win situation, but he is up in time. And then Hikaru only needs to hold a draw, but he has fewer time. So let's see how this game went. Nepo with the white pieces started with c4, and then we have e5, knight c3. This is the English opening, knight f3, knight c6, e3, bishop b4, queen c2. This is all theory, basically. Bishop takes, we have queen takes, of course, and then queen e7, defending the e5 pawn. Here, a3 was played. Okay, maybe this is not the most standard option here. The better options are to go d4 or bishop e2. a3 is also possible. And in the game, we have a5 preventing b4, but Nepo decides to play b4 anyways. Because here, if you take on b4, then after a takes b4, black first of all takes this rook, and after queen takes rook, here, instead of taking on b4, a better option would be to go e4 first for black, and then after knight d4, you can take on b4 or d4. Both works, and it is a pretty much equalized position. But in the game, however, Hikaru decided to play a kind of, inaccurate move. He played d6. Now, this move is not a great move because it just simply allows white to push b5, gaining a bigger space on the queen side. Here, Hikaru decides to drop back with the knight, but this is a little bit passive as it seems. And here we have bishop b2, developing the bishop. Here, Hikaru decides to close up the center as well as the queen side a little bit by playing c5 here. And of course, if white just simply ignores it, then black will just achieve his idea to close up the center and the queen side. Because white has the bishop pair, but if black successfully closes up everything, then these two bishops might find a really hard time to activate or have their attacking usages. So that is why here Nepo just took on c6 en passant, and then opening up the diagonals and everything here, Hikaru took back with knight c6, but still we can see that black is a little bit slow in development compared to white. In the game, we have bishop e2 developing the bishop, and then Hikaru played bishop g4 developing his bishop, h3, bishop back, castles, castles, rook f e1. We have a couple of very normal moves. Queen c2 back, bishop g6. Now black is getting this bishop to this diagonal and putting some pressure on the queen, threatening some discovered attacks. So white does need to be careful, and that is why in the game, Nepo decides to retreat the queen back with queen d1, and in the game here we have a4. So Hikaru is starting to push the pawns on the queen side to create a bigger space, and maybe in the future allowing the knight to jump to a5 and then to b3. In the game we have d4, so Nepo is now pushing the pawns and trying to complicate the position. In the game here, we have rook fca developing the rook, and then rook ac1, h6, bishop d3 here. And a very decisive mistake was made here by Hikaru. He decided to retreat his knight back to f6. But he simply just missed the chance to go for this really nice move, knight f2, which life would have just been much more easier for him if he had played knight f2, because the point is that here, if white takes, and basically white needs to take, then there's e4, and black will have this really beautiful fork and win the piece back immediately with white's king kind of exposed in the center, and black will be facing no problems at all. But instead, in the game, maybe Hikaru just miscalculated it and decides to drop back with knight f6. But now, after bishop takes g6, f takes g6, black has a slightly damaged pawn structure. But of course, it is not the end of the world, and in the game, white decides to play d5, pushing the pawn forward, attacking the knight. The knight here jumps to a5, attacking the c4 pawn as well as maybe threatening to go knight b3. And in the game, c5 was played by Nepo. It's worth pointing out that if white takes on a4 here, there's knight takes c4, and there's this discovered attack here, which means that white has no time to take back the knight and needs to run away with the queen. But then at that point, all of these pawns will be falling apart and black is going to be winning. That is why in the game, Nepo instead just pushed the pawn with c5, and then e4 was played in the game. A really nice reply by Hikaru. We have c takes d6 first, and then queen takes d6 was played. Bishop takes f6 was a mistake. Now, it's better for white to play rook takes c8 first, and after rook takes c8, and then play bishop f6, and after, for example, e takes f3, go bishop a1 back. So it's better for white to play it this way. And here, if black takes on the bishop first, then this knight can get to this really nice outpost on d4, which both of these options will be good for white. But instead, in the game, Nepo played this inaccurate move, and he played bishop f6 first. Well, the main difference is that here, black can first of all take on c1, not allowing white to take, and then after queen takes c1, play e takes f3, and at this point the position is already pretty much equalized, because now if you move back with the bishop as played in the game, there's queen takes d5, and the main difference is that the queen is no longer on d1 to defend the pawn here, and now black is up a pawn in a very good shape. Here, Nepo decides to play queen c3, going up with the queen and threatening this really cheeky idea on g7, threatening mate in 1. But of course, Hikaru saw it and played queen d7 back, defending everything. We have g takes f3, b5 was played, so black actually has this pawn advantage on the queen side, so it's actually possible for black to push the pawns and create an outside pass pawn on the queen side. So white needs to be careful about that. And here in the game, king g2 was played, defending the h3 pawn. We have rook a7, so using this rook as well to help defend the g7 pawn and freeing this queen. In the game, we have queen b4, which is another mistake because it simply just allows knight c4. And the best reply here is actually to go e4 here. So black is pushing the pawns on the queen side, so that is why for white should push the pawns in the center, because white is up in pawns in the center, so that is why white should just push the pawns where he is better. In the game, however, queen b4 was played, but this is just too slow and too passive. In the game, knight c4 is simply just allowing black to jump in, and you also have to remember that black only needs to hold a draw, because that is how the Armageddon works. So already at this point, Hikaru, I think, is in a really comfortable zone because he has a better position. Also, he is not down in much time, and I think this is just a very easy draw for Hikaru. So Nepo knows that he is in a must-win situation, but already at this point, this is not a winning position, and Nepo knows that he cannot just try to go for risky options, because then it might just lead to even losses. And in the game, bishop d4 was played, but Hikaru, the rest of the game, he just defended it without any mistakes, just defended it perfectly. We rook b7, and then first of all, both sides got the queens off the board. But I mean, black's knight is just way too good. It is untouchable. No pawns can attack it. The bishop is on the opposite color, unless you want to use the rook to trade for the knight, but then you're gonna be down material. Now, this is just there's nothing that white can do, basically, and also there's nothing that black can do. So this is basically in an equalized position where both sides can't really do anything, just moving back and forth. King f7 up with the king, push the pawn, up with the king, rook goes up, king to d5, king f3, but Hikaru is now trying to push b4, and we have rook d3, the king goes back, bishop c5, but Hikaru just played extremely well. A couple of pawns off the board. Rook c7, bishop b4. Now time is already even. Rook c6, rook b8, knight e5, rerouting this knight. King d2, preventing rook c2 check. Knight c4 back. King goes to d1. Knight b2, another check. And then here after king d2, another check, king e1, knight goes back, rook takes b5, there goes a pawn, but it doesn't really do anything. Rook c2 check, even though now black is down a pawn, but black's pieces are just way too active. Knight d3 is coming to win this f2 pawn. There's nothing that white can do besides giving a couple of checks. And in the game, bishop f8 was played first, attacking the g7 pawn, but knight d3 comes, king d1, rook takes f2, bishop takes g7. But then here, black manages to take this a3 pawn after a couple of moves. Here, rook takes a3, and then black is just in time to prevent this pawn. h6, but then h7 is just impossible for white to push because the bishop is on the opposite color of the h7 square, and as for the rook, it is impossible for the rook to reroute to this side if white is possible to do that, but black will at that point get the king to g6 to prevent everything from happening. And this is just a draw, moving back and forth. And finally, after knight h3, we have the rooks off the board, and this is just El Clasico, a draw. After bishop takes a1, you don't have enough pieces to checkmate. And here Hikaru manages to draw this game, draw the Armageddon with the black pieces, and this means that this counts as a win for Hikaru, and he is now into the grand final facing against Magnus Carlsen. Even though at the very end he got defeated, but still he is in second place. And don't remember that he is the player who doesn't really follow the systematic training, the traditional training, but he is just also a professional streamer, we can call it that way. Alrighty, this is just something really impressive. Yeah. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this game, and hope you guys just see how strong Hikaru is. Not only he is a great chess player, but also he is a really entertaining streamer. Alright, so if you guys enjoyed this game as well as this video, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!